Dream collaboration, Frank Ocean. I say it every time, manifesting it.
Okay, we need that.
We need it.
I need to listen to that right now.
Right now.
Hi, I'm Helena and I'm joined by Arlo Parks for the latest in Enemies in Conversation series. Arlo, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a massive 2021 for you. I want to dive straight in to the US tour that's now finished. How was it?
I mean, it was incredible. You know, being welcomed by crowds of hundreds of people so far from home, because I'd only ever been to LA. I'd never been to anywhere else in the US. And I think the first show, which was in New York, which is a place I've always wanted to go to, walking onto that stage and having people literally shouting, knowing every single word was, I can't really explain it or describe it. It just felt really heartwarming.
I read that you rediscovered Collapsing Sunbeams in Texas. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, these are songs that I've written and they're really personal stories and songs that I've sung quite a lot of times. But I think at that particular show, I just felt particularly kind of held and supported through especially the difficult sentiments in a lot of the songs. And some of the sad songs actually had this kind of residue of joy on them afterwards, because I was like, wow, this is something that I can sing with people. People are understanding me and approaching me gently and share the same feelings, so I felt less alone.
What's that like when everybody just knows all the words to what you've written?
It's still quite weird to me,
Yeah.
You know, because I wrote the record especially just like in a flat in East London, and then having people, you know, in like Arizona knowing every single word. I don't know, I guess it reminds me of the power of music and the fact that it is this tool to like build communities and that sense of togetherness, but it's still really surreal.
And now, how does it feel to be home in the UK, in London?
Yeah, it feels lovely, you know, there's nothing like home. It's very cold, not enjoying
Freezing,
that.
yeah.
Freezing, yeah. But I'm enjoying being home, seeing my friends, looking forward to some shows as well.
Do you get downtime?
Yeah, so sometimes. I get like I definitely like, I'm putting aside a few days to like see my friends and like go for nice dinners, nice little park walks, but it is pretty full on. I feel like I'm definitely in work mode, especially after, you know, this year and a half of not being able to play live. I'm really kind of throwing myself into that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. And aside from playing live, if you've had any time, have you seen any shows kind of since all those restrictions lifted?
The only shows that I really saw were ones at festivals that I was attending. So I've seen Idols, I saw Bieber Doobie at Boardmasters, Slow Tie, Jamie XX, but I haven't actually been to a venue and like seen a gig. That's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising given what you've been doing, but I suppose another part of this kind of whirlwind year for you is receiving these amazing awards, like winning the freaking Mercury Prize. What? And you know, the Brit Awards, Breakthrough Artist. Can you describe what's that like?
I feel like whenever I talk about this, the thing that I kind of come back to is that sense of feeling really validated as myself, because the music that I made, I never compromised. It was music that I loved making. It was about me and my stories. And being given prizes for a body of work like that just kind of reinforces the fact that I am enough and people enjoy me as I am and my work as it is. So, yeah.
On Twitter, after you won the Mercury Prize, Taylor Swift responded to it, telling you congrats.
Yes,
and
I'm aware.
Well done for a stunning album. What did you think when you saw that?
I think I was still reeling from the adrenaline of like the night before, and then seeing that, I was like, I was shocked. Yeah.
Has anybody else kind of famous or anybody that means a lot to you kind of reached out to you as well?
Definitely. Like, I think one of my favourite ones was I actually did this cover of this Patti Smith song, and then she reached out to me being like, saying how much she enjoyed it, and that was like, she's a legend. That was incredible. The Smashing Pumpkins recently. There are so many different ones because, I don't know, I think being able to receive that kind of feedback from people whose music has like impacted you when you were a kid, like having the person who was on your little iPod Nano when you were 13 say, I love your music, it's just brain exploded.
iPod Nano, remember them?
Yeah, mate.
I mean, next year, you are supporting Billie Eilish at the O2. I mean, that is huge, both the capacity of the O2 and the situation. What was it like when you got that call?
That was, again, it was one of those ones where you can't quite believe it. I remember just any time I think with like news, I always get like a call from my manager and he's like, gonna want to sit down for this one. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And then he just said it and I was like, the O2. Like Billie Eilish is literally like one of the biggest artists in the entire world.
Yeah.
And I got to announce it live on Radio 1 as well when I was like, I feel like there was just that period of a few months where so much was happening. It was like this avalanche of wonderful things, and I'm just really grateful for it all.
Why do you think maybe, aside from your ages, that young people gravitate towards people like you and Billie?
I guess there's like an honesty to the way that we talk about our feelings. And I think the experience of being just like a human being, whether that's heartbreak or sadness or falling in love or partying, all these different kind of things that make up being a human being, I feel like we both have that urge to kind of balance the bitter and the sweet and talk about difficult things, but then provide that kind of sense of hope. So that's why I think, yeah.
You talk about mental health a lot, both through your music and directly. You were also involved in UNICEF's State of the World report, and in it you spoke about a more accessible mental health help. Can you just expand a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to things like therapy, when it comes to just access to help in general, I feel like it's not seen as something that is accessible to everyone. It's seen as something that's either expensive or that has very long waiting lists. And I would like to see a world where everyone can have access to therapy if they need it. So it shouldn't be exclusive to people who are wealthy. I feel like it should be something that people should get if they need it. And so that's kind of been I have a real sense of purpose when it comes to that kind of thing, because I feel like when you have a platform, you have a voice and you have the means to actually enact change. So mental health is something I'm really passionate about in terms of UNICEF and Calm and all these things I'm taking part in.
Definitely. Do you think mental health issues are particularly prevalent in the world of music?
I would say in terms of like artists yeah, I definitely think so. You know, I feel like especially when it comes to becoming public facing and the feelings that come with that, I feel like that definitely like musicians go through a lot when it comes to that adjustment, and also are generally quite sensitive people, I would say in general, you know, having to mine those parts of yourself that are so kind of deep and often difficult. So that's why I'd like to see more support specifically, I think, for artists in the industry. Definitely.
I'm sure so many people appreciate you talking about it. This kind of success that you've had over the last year, like, did it ever become overwhelming?
I think it did become overwhelming, but I have this mentality or this way of being where I just like go.
Yeah.
Like even if it's something scary or, you know, performing at the O2 for the Brits, like it was terrifying, but I was just like, go. There's no choice but to like just do it. And I think also taking time along the way when I have it to like process and journal and like actually take stock of things. But I definitely have like a, you know, once in a lifetime opportunity, just grab it and do it. And then afterwards can deal with like the aftershock of it all, I think.
Yeah. Has the meaning, because I know that like as I've got a bit older, the meaning of what success is has changed for me. I was wondering if that's changed for you over the last year.
To be honest, I think I've always had the same goal, and it's just to be able to be a creative person and do that full time, all day, every day for the rest of my life, and just have that sense of security that I know that I can be making music or writing or making films or whatever that is as my job. So that's still kind of what I hope for myself.
And looking ahead a bit, you know, we've had the first album. Is there any new music coming up?
Things are bubbling, but I like to keep these cards close to my chest. But I'm writing.
And, you know, the first album was such a blend of so many genres. Is there a particular genre maybe that you're focusing more on writing? Not
Not particularly, to be honest. I feel like I've always been interested in the idea of fusion, so I'm literally pulling from everywhere, whether that's electronica, whether that's shoegaze, whether that's rock, jazz, like just making a very specific melting pot of things that I love.
What did you listen to growing up?
I listened to a bunch of things. My mum really loved kind of 80s pop music, a lot of like Shaka Khan and like Whitney Houston, a lot of French music. My dad loved like Miles Davis, Charles Mingus, like a lot of jazz.
Were you a household that always had music on?
Yeah, definitely. There was always something on speakers. There was always a lot of audio books as well when I was growing up.
Really?
Like when we'd go for long drives to the south of France, like every summer, then my dad would always have like Treasure Island and like Moby Dick and all these like books on. So I remember just taking that in when I was a kid.
No way. I feel like you're really ahead of the curve of audiobooks there.
Yeah, I was on it, to be honest. Yeah, I guess because it was just ones that my dad loved and I just kind of like listened along, just not really getting it until I was older.
Yeah. Are you writing and like creating music in the same way, or do you think that's kind of shifted from everything you've learned over the last year?
In the same way. I've been making music in the same way since I was like 14. Like there's just a very specific, I just have a specific way of doing things. And I think my sonic palettes and tastes have definitely expanded and the kind of music that I want to make has changed. But I think internally the way that I like write my lyrics, the way that I put songs together is still that very kind of like personal, intimate, intentional way of doing things.
When did you write your first song?
My first song, I think I was like 13 or so. And I remember my guitar teacher at the time was like a songwriter as well and like a session player. And I just kind of asked him like, how do you write a song? And he kind of set it to me as my homework for that week. And I have no idea what it was about. I don't remember it at all. It was just like on my acoustic guitar, probably like something Fall Out Boy themed and embarrassing.
Yes.
But yeah.
Did you always have people around you, whether they were friends, family, teachers, that encouraged you to go into music?
So I definitely had people around me who encouraged music, especially my friends, and teachers at school who encouraged my writing and my poetry and my storytelling. But it was always something that I did quite privately. Like I would just do it upstairs in my bedroom and just put it out on SoundCloud under a different name. And I think sending demos to like my best mates and stuff was one of the things that really spurred me on, because I would send it and they would just, when you're at that beginning stage, you're so afraid and so like protective and shy about the fact that you're making this really vulnerable thing. And when someone's like, wow, that's really cool, then it gives you that boost unlike anything. So the people around me definitely helped me get to this point.
Yeah, sometimes it's so hard to put that first initial like piece of personality out there.
Exactly.
If somebody was kind of on the edge right now of doing that, of even just sending something to a friend, what would you say to them?
I guess I would say something that really helped me personally was, I'm not sure who said this or what interview I read it from, but that idea that if you create something that has the potential to help somebody else, then it's almost your duty to put it out into the world, because you might have that initial kind of ledge of fear to get over, but that song could then help someone when they're in their darkest place, or soundtrack their summer, or be something that becomes really important to them. So just think of that ledge of fear and then it's all good.
Amazing. Well, we talked about the Mercury, we talked about the Brits. A little birdie told me something's been submitted to the Grammys. What are your thoughts on that? Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts is I'm blessed to even be in the conversation. I go into everything with no expectations. But just to have my name even among that, I'm still wrapping my head around it. So I'm just pleased to be part of it. And yeah.
One of the categories that you've had work submitted for is Best Rock Song. Tell me a bit about that, because, you know, it has to be, I guess the nature of the beast is that it has to be so genre specific.
Yeah.
But, you know, what is rock like to you?
I mean, I think what I like about rock music is that it has just like a million different forms. And I think it's kind of the same as like pop music to me, in the way that it just spans so many different things. Like to me, rock it can be Radiohead or like Flaming Lips or Biba Doobie or like Phoebe Bridgers. Like there are just so many different versions of it. And I kind of like being under that umbrella.
Do you think people are now kind of realising that a bit more, that rock isn't just kind of 5 guys on a stage with electric guitars?
No, definitely. No, definitely. I think as we move forward, then like rock music especially is just being diversified, I think. And I think it's wonderful that someone can like be looking at the TV and like someone like me is like put up for best rock song, you know, and that's no shade to those like 5 guys smashing their guitars
we love
at
them.
Reading. But like, I think it's wonderful that we have that variety now, and that it just has become more broad and inclusive.
After you finish touring, what are your plans?
Finish touring? I'm not sure when that's going to be.
Sleep.
Sleep. No, definitely. I think I'm going to take a lot more time to just like be with my friends. Maybe take some time to like travel a little bit if possible. I want to spend some time by the water, I think somewhere by the ocean. What else? Get my driving license. Just do like human stuff, you know.
Yeah. Driving license.
Yeah. Important.
Yeah. But I suppose like growing up in London, like on a tube map.
Exactly.
Never really needed it.
There was no need, no. But I do have that like fancy of just like driving out to the coast somewhere with all my friends, and
What is it about water particularly?
I don't know, I'm just like a water person. Like I love being around lakes, oceans. I just feel really still and quiet when I'm near water or when I'm swimming. So
What were you thinking this time last year, and where do you want to be this time next year?
So this time last year, the record hadn't come out yet. I was quite nervous about it. I was doing a lot of interviews, very much staying inside in my own head. And then this time next year, I don't know, I'd like to have collaborated more. I'd like to have made music with people that I really look up to. Like to have spent more time by the water. Like to have played in some countries that I'd never been to before. And I'd like to just still be really enjoying what I do, because I'm like so happy right now. So I'd hope that I still am then.
Have you done much collaborating, and are you looking forward to doing some more?
Yeah, so there are a fair few collaborations out. I've done some secret ones that are yet to be revealed. And it's something that I definitely want to delve into in the future, because it's so wonderful to just experience how someone else works and to just like have 2 worlds colliding. When you think about Rosalia and Billie, or you think about like Tori Moi and Flume, like these kind of power duos where like worlds crash together and it creates something really new and exciting.
Do you think it takes you out of your own head a bit when you collaborate?
Yeah, I think it definitely allows you to be more open and fluid about how you go about making music, and it just allows you to learn. Like I remember being in the studio with Dave from Glass Animals, and he was just showing me how he wrote songs, and I was like, wow, I've never even thought about doing that.
Amazing.
And it was really wonderful because it just kind of opens your horizons a little bit more.
Dream collaboration?
Dream collaboration, Frank Ocean, I say it every time, manifesting it.
Okay, we need that.
We need it.
I need to listen to that right now.
Right now! Right now. Wish is my command, let's do it.
Amazing. Well, Arlo Parks, thank you so much for joining us for Enemies in Conversation.
Thanks for having me.